Hello, all. Abigail here with the astrology of this week, and this week is very, very, very action packed. It feels like, briefly, we've had at least some weeks that don't have as many points of action while still complicated and entangled because of all the earlier energy from this year. Things had slowed down a smidge, and realizations were feeling a little more just present. But this week we are back in the thick of it, dipped up to our neck, and some really big astrological shifts and changes. So just be aware that that is the energy that we're going into this week. Also, I think the context of where all of this is happening in the astrological year is important. This is right into the summer. So we've just had the summer solstice, literally the day before this week starts. I like to start on Monday because that's the beginning of the working week, and it kind of allows us to kind of incorporate both the working week and then the resting week if you have traditional weekends. So this all starts on Monday, and it starts off with a full moon in Capricorn, and these are the kind of last moments that we get eclipse free, because even though the full moon in Aquarius is eclipse free, it is still functioning on the eclipse axis. So no, it's not an eclipse, but it's going to already be kind of swept up. It'll be the opening of the eclipse portal, basically. And so we're going to be swept up into eclipse energy with the next full moon. So this is kind of the last grounded full moon that we're going to get. I'm going to do a longer video on it with a tarot reading attached. So you can keep an eye out for that. That always usually comes out about 2 days before, just so you got time to kind of soak it all in. And with all of these things, you can watch them in the middle of it. You can watch them a few days later if you want some insight. But we start off with this full moon in Capricorn, and it really feels like we're building. It feels like we also finally have some ability to build, which hasn't really been a thing this year. It feels as though the earlier part of the year we had, and I would even hazard in like the fall of 2025 because of the eclipses then, we had our little block towers built, and the eclipses just came in and swiped them all. And we're finally getting to the point where we've collected the blocks again, and we're going to start building this time with a different vision, maybe a different person in mind, maybe a different situation, maybe different dreams and desires, maybe even the same ones, just slightly, hopefully configured differently, because the whole energy of this year is please do it a different way. So if you're not doing it a different way, start now. Um, but we're starting to build. Now, here's the catch with where we are. August, next season, we're going to have the eclipses again. And so, if during the last swipe from the universe, you held on to some of your blocks, those blocks might be under attack again. And my advice would be to let them go, because you're not going to get what you want until you allow the eclipses to do their job, which is to cleanse and to realign. It is really difficult because there is a fear that you're going to lose something really valuable to you. I understand that. I have had my own eclipse moments where they took things that I was not wanting to give up. But at the end of the day, eclipses remove things in order to create a life that is actually aligned and to help bring our manifestations into the world in a way that actually works for us. And I know it can feel hard. And I also find that if you hold on to eclipse energy, or even if just you have a lot of things to process and you hit good aspects in astrology or good energy, sometimes it can feel bad because the good that the universe is doing is not apparent or obvious to you. And that's kind of the lesson of like 2025, 2026 has been with all of the massive shifts of the outer planets, is this kind of idea of like good is bad, bad is good. Not from a moral standpoint, obviously, but from a like how we feel about things. A lot of the major impacts that we're having don't feel good in the moment, but I guarantee 2, 5, 7 years, looking back, you're going to go, oh, that was a realignment. That was a readjustment so that I could get back in tune with what I want. And if you are heavily manifesting, a lot of the things that are happening in your life are actually from those manifestations. That's just how this works. You just have a different vision than the universe as how it's supposed to work out. And so there might be a sense of disappointment or frustration because you're like, well, they're not happening. But it's like the universe is actually removing the stuff to make space for the things that you want. You're just not completely, maybe you're attaching, well, how do I want to say this? You might be attaching a heavy amount of value or function to a person, a job, a city, something, and the universe is going to remove those things in order to open the way for you to go get those things. And this is literally the story of 2026, 2025. I also think we're going to kind of see the ultimate climax of this story with the triple eclipses in the summer of 2027. Just with the way the energy is moving forward and the fact that I am talking about a Capricorn full moon, and it's going to be partially in Cancer season. So I just want to give this caveat that yes, this is a very building full moon, but also know that things are going to shift and change. So build lightly and build with the kind of built in clause in this building process. The universe gets to have a say, that we are co creating, that it's not just us or just the universe. Let me just check my mic. We're getting to the Mercury retrograde here, and I always have mic issues during it. Anyways, so just know that this is a great, excuse me, a great moon for building, planning, problem solving. Is there a square with Neptune? Yes, but I think it gives us actually some clarity on what has not been working and which illusions and delusions have been unhelpful. Also, we have a loose square with Saturn, so this feels very functional to me. Is it fun functional? Not necessarily, but if you have not had any function, this is good. But important to note on this day, just so we're not like, oh yes, building and growing and changing, we do have Mercury stationing retrograde. So, and it will be stationed retrograde till July 23rd at 16 degrees of Cancer, and stationing retrograde at 26 degrees. So we have 10 degrees to go through, and we will be going back over topics that we covered earlier in Gemini season. So it is this kind of push and pull, but I do love that we're dealing with Capricorn because Capricorn does know how to transmute energy. It does know how to problem solve. It does know how to shift and to change things in a way that works with the universe. And so if you can release control and if you can commit to the essence of what you want rather than the structure is going to come. The universe is going to help us build it. But if we start to try to build it now, the eclipses are probably going to do a little bit of a cleanse. If you can stick to the essence of your desires, leaving the structure up to whatever comes next, this is a really good time to start to get what you want. And I feel like this is going to pick up momentum, especially as we head through the eclipses and into the fall, because the eclipses aren't just cleansing and clearing. They can also bring manifestations in a snap. It's just about making sure that we are aligned and releasing and allowing things to kind of have their own energy in a sense is going to allow that to happen. And I think this is also going to be a lesson of the Mercury retrograde. So we might as well start to learn it now. So that is Monday. It is a pretty heavy day. I would say don't expect to feel like you're getting anything done, but a lot of the things that you do on this day are going to have a very big impact. So just little things that you can do, whether it's cleaning your space or writing a list of stuff or recommitting to some manifestations of kind of reimagining things. A lot of this can happen in your mind, especially with the Mercury retrograde, but don't expect like the physical side of things to feel very functional, and also expect the feelings to be a little because Mercury retrograde in Cancer is a bit emotionally entangled. Then on Tuesday, we get another red letter moment. We get Jupiter moving into Leo, and this is a 12-year not 12-year, Jesus, well, kind of 12-year transit in the sense that we will get, and will be another 12 years before we come back to this point, but it's a 12-month transit. So we are starting another year of Jupiter. It is in Leo. Very important to look at where this falls in your chart. You will have a vastly different experience based on the houses it falls in. I use whole sign, so that would be a house. But this is about shining as your best self, doing what is best for you. It can also be kind of pride goeth before fall energy, where you can kind of over believe in something, over commit to something, and it can kind of have a very glorious and flashy explosion as a part of its process. But if you harness it in a way that is a bit tempered, this can be a beautiful time of shedding and releasing and moving into a sense of power, regardless of what is going on around you, of stabilizing yourself, and of almost, I feel this Jupiter in Leo is almost insulating us if we believe in ourselves from a lot of outside influences. Now, can there be pitfalls in not having outside influences? Yes. So you do have to be careful about becoming overconfident, um, overly egotistical, kind of isolating yourself in your power. Make sure that you're still open to community and open to correction and being called in. But it can also, if you have especially dealt with self doubt or coming from a past of abuse where like being invalidated was a big thing, this can be a really big punch and powerful energy to help you get past and through those things, especially since we will have that almost immediate square with almost immediate square with Chiron. We will have eventually a trine with Saturn, which is going to be really helpful with building our passions and our desires. Also, the trine with Neptune, the sextile with our bestie Uranus over in Gemini. So, this is a really big life shifting thing. Is it going to be all fun and parties? No. Are some really cool fashion trends coming out of this? Absolutely. So, if anything, be very hot and be very loud. There's a lot to say about this transit, but this is the entrance into it. Like I said, it will immediately go into a square with Chiron, which I think is going to tend to a bit of self-doubt. We're immediately going to come up against, is what I'm saying valid? Am I good at my craft? You know, if you're not, most of us are not, but like if you're not generally acceptable to the public or you're in something niche, there can be this feeling of like maybe I have to appeal to everyone. I would suggest you resist that urge. No one appeals to everyone. But just know that on Tuesday we're also getting that Chiron square. And so allow yourself the space and the time to sit with the ways in which you don't believe in yourself and the ways in which you have been invalidated by others and what kind of wounding you have around it. Also, this is a day of like heightened triggering. So like if you feel triggered, take a moment, wait till the weekend because that's when this will have cleared a bit, to maybe choose to do in a completely different career or to maybe remove a certain offering or just do anything rash. This is Chiron moments are times to sit and to commune with the energy and to um, be introspective rather than to go out and take action, at least in my opinion. Oh, and I forgot this because my notes are a little messed up. But also on Monday, we have Mars square the nodes, which is going to feel a bit eclipsy. But I do think because this is the final planet to hit the square with the nodes, I think there's a lot of in the moment tense, blocked. The outlet for this is in Sagittarius, so like higher thought, travel, um, expanding your horizons. These are the ways to help you exit this feeling of frustration and frozenness. But I do think once we get out of this square with Mars and the nodes, we will actually see a much clearer path forward. But on the day of this Capricorn full moon, there's going to be um, you might experience a disappointment, you might receive a rejection from something, some sort of stalemate, gridlock is going to happen. Now, bright side, anything that you don't get on this day, any disappointment, any blockage, it is for the best. So while please grieve and be sad if you're disappointed by something because we don't want to avoid our feelings, know that you're being protected by this Mars square with the nodes. You're being blocked from taking a choice that is going to put you on a detour that is going to require more time, effort, and energy that you do not have towards something that is not going to go anywhere. So just know that that exists. Know that it is going to create another layer of tension here, but also know, which I think is very beautiful, that this energy very much feels like many, many people who are watching my videos, me included, are on the right path. And a lot of stuff that's coming in is a bit of a distraction from what you need to be focusing on. And you're going to be offered other opportunities and things that are off your path as a confirmation that you are fully committed and fully in it to win it with the universe. A lot of people I'm sensing who are going to find this reading are on a very unique path. You don't have a typical job, or if you do, your desire is not for the typical 9 to 5 pattern, or you're just not built for it. And so there is going to be kind of a desire to return to that, which isn't necessarily wrong. And sometimes we do have to return, but just know that anything that happens on this day is not necessarily going to be long lived as a forward path because of the Mars square. It might be a solution for now, and it's not bad to take it, but any blocks that you get, have your tears, be upset about it, but also know that you're kind of being protected and being put on the right path towards what's actually going to push you forward, even if that path feels like it's being stalled. There's something in this Capricorn full moon that is going to release you from something, and you're going to see some forward motion moving forward. Basically, this full moon in Capricorn is the universe being like, well, fine. I'll give you a sign that things are going to work out. You finite little piece of me, which our souls are not finite, but we do live in finite bodies. So just know that any type of rejection is redirection this week. Any type of thing that you don't feel aligned to is a test, not necessarily a solution. What did I just put in my eyebrow? I have herbs on my counter from a spell I did, and I think I just put it in my eyebrow. Well, anointed with an herbal blend. So yeah. And then we have this Jupiter, like I was talking about earlier on Tuesday, with the Jupiter, Leo motion. And so there is going to be this kind of start, stop energy this week, which is what it is. Then this is the kind of important day, and I don't normally give like physical warnings, but this is one of those aspects that I absolutely give a physical warning for, and it is Mars conjunct Uranus. I usually give these for like Mars conjunct Pluto, Mars conjunct Saturn. Squares I'm not so worried about, but Mars conjunct Uranus in the early degrees of Gemini near the US's Uranus return point, which is at 8 degrees. There's just, especially if you're in the US, too much going on. This also falls on the 4th of July, which in the US is a very big holiday. Some of us choose not to celebrate it, but a lot of people take this opportunity to travel and to visit with their family. This isn't to like freak you out or make you not do anything fun, but do not take unnecessary risk on the 4th of July. Don't do it. Don't try new things. If you have children, keep a very firm eye on them, because stuff is just going to go awry in ways that we don't expect, and things that normally might seem safe are not going to be as safe as we think. So please be careful with the Mars conjunction Uranus. I also personally, and you can check back to see if I was right, I think we're going to see some kind of very big violent event in the US. Um, Possibly a false flag. Would not be surprised if it's the West Coast. I've seen other people talking about the West Coast as being a point here. Some people are talking about foreign governments. I would not be surprised if it is our own government doing something to us, or the other government that starts with I and ends with Israel doesn't do something. So just be aware, be cautious. If you are in California, especially around like San Francisco, LA area, be cautious. Just be cautious. Keep your head on a swivel. Like I said, I don't normally give these types of doom and gloom warnings. It's just something about this energy makes me real antsy, and I'm not the only astrologer who's very concerned about this. Also on the day we have Mars sextile Neptune, and so there is an element of illusion, and that's why I think we might be seeing a false flag of illusion and of action being taken for reasons that are not necessarily apparent and obvious in the moment. Um, so we may not fully ever know the truth about what's going to happen on the 4th of July this year. It's also, the bicentennial. Is it bicentennial? I don't care. I'm so done with this country. Um, it's a really big event. Stuff is going to go down one way or the other. There might be a lag in information because we have locked down and kind of, removed a lot of our protections when it comes to government agencies. So just be careful, be cautious, be wise. If you don't have to take undue risks, don't. I had a client say that their sister wanted to travel 8 months pregnant on the 4th of July, and I was like, I mean, if you want to have a baby on the side of the road, feel free. But if you want to have your baby with your birth plan when you want to have them, or at least in the area so that you can go to the hospital or you have the midwife nearby that you have chosen, stay home. Don't be traveling. Don't be going nowhere. Um, so yeah, nothing, not, this is not to be like, don't enjoy your day, don't enjoy your holiday, but please be cautious. Just don't try anything that's dangerous or new. If your kiddos are like, hey, someone has a jet ski at the lake, can we try it? Be like, hey, let's maybe wait till tomorrow. Or no, not this time. It's just not the time to mess with machinery, especially with Uranus involved. Anything that is newer, machinery, things like that, it's just, you know, a bit dangerous. Anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to terrify people. I don't believe in like whipping up terror. But this is just one of those ones where, like, when I talk about it, I get like a tightness in my chest. I'm also a psychic medium, so I listen to my body. Um, yeah, just know that it's testy. Um, as far as like personal astrology, these are just unexpected events. I think you're going to see a lot of folks you didn't think were going to break up around this time. Or this is the start of stuff starting to fall apart with Mars sextile Neptune. A lot of people, whether they know it or not, are operating from desires they may not even be fully aware of. So people just kind of reacting based off of triggers, based off of past trauma, based off of like unexpressed, repressed emotions is going to be coming through. So just know that people might be passive aggressive on this day. You might have some weird family drama. The best thing to do is to ground yourself and to take action for yourself while taking a clear look at your intentions and your desires. You might have to move pretty fast though, so take a quick look and then move. And then we punctuate this week with period with Mars trine Pluto on Sunday. And so this is just such a deep energy. It exposes rot, it exposes violence. We've seen what's been building to this with multiple, there's always horrible violence and police pew pews, but we have seen a rise in them, the rise in trans deaths, the rise in the violence against the queer community, the rise in violence against the disabled community. And I want to be clear, all of this has always been bad, all of this has always been a problem, but we are seeing another uptick of it. And with this kind of energy, it is going to become more and more exposed. But with Mars involved in Gemini, this is not a slam on Geminis, but with Uranus and Gemini and with Mars nearby, a lot of propaganda is going to be used. A lot of crazy excuses are going to be made for violence. And so having a clear head, working through your own arguments for why you defend human rights, which is crazy to say, is a good idea. Being very clear and upfront with what you want and your desires. Um, you know, this is not a week to react to things. Now you're going to have to react, but it's not one to react until you have a trigger point. So take things slow. With Mars trine Pluto, there's also an uptick in feeling depressed or in feeling hopelessness. So please take care of your mental health. Pluto tends to really overwhelm us, and with Mars, it's like really sharp energy. Not to mention, we've just had, Chiron move, and it's in orb to Pluto in a square. So there is a heaviness around trauma, around pain, around suffering. And, I just want you to be aware of the fact that not only is the external energy going to be rough and chaotic and unpredictable, but the internal energy is going to be rough as well. I will say, with Mars conjunct Uranus, if there's something that feels impossible, that can also happen too. So I don't want you to just go, oh, everything's going to be shit. No, some like crazy impossible stuff can happen with Mars conjunct Uranus. It's just kind of neutral. It's not like I would predict something beautiful and benefic, but it's not saying that something can't happen. It's just going to be very aggressive and very fast. Just make sure you don't get love bombed. So take some time this week to yourself, be gentle. A lot of the building, like I said, with that full moon in Capricorn, starts on an internal level and is going to develop through the Mercury retrograde and into eclipse season. So there's no rush. Don't push yourself to do anything. The Mars Uranus conjunction is going to want to force you to do stuff. Also, with this, I can see there being a lot of scammers out and about with the Mars Uranus conjunction. A lot of people doing scam phone calls. I think from this point, we're going to see an uptick of like AI scam calls. So just be aware and use your judgment. The times we're in, you've really got to hone your intuition. like learning to trust your gut, learning to check your internal boundaries before you act. All of these things are really important. There's subjects that are coming up with Chiron um, in Taurus as well, so very on topic. So, anyways, just be wise this week and don't take any risks you don't have to. And also be open to something unexpected happening that is good, knowing that that's an anomaly. Yeah, and with the Mars trine Pluto, I think that is going to be a container for the fallout of the Mars Uranus conjunction stuff. Um, yeah, and I'm also getting kind of a channel coming through, people rising up, great fires, catastrophe. Basically, this is a huge, and I like it's hard to talk. This energy is a huge catalyst for something, whether it's in the US, whether it's in a different country. I talk from the perspective of the US because I live here, but other countries are obviously affected too. Lots of uprising, lots of resistance. Um, for people who are already fighting and protesting, this could be a violent backlash, or it could be a breakthrough. It really depends on where they are in that fight, and how much aggression they have received already. But know that this week is really important. And like I said, this isn't something that you need to stress or worry about because you can't change it. But take care of yourself, your loved ones, listen to your instincts and your gut, and move accordingly. Anyways, my loves, I know this was a bit of a heavy one, but I wish you a blessed week and I wish for the unexpected to be an unexpected blessing. And I will talk to you all later.